Hello, everybody. Aiden here, and welcome to another video here on the Around the Slice YouTube channel. So, as of today, March 23rd, 2026, we're officially exactly 1 month out from the 2026 NFL Draft Round 1/Night 1 kicking off on Thursday, April 23rd. Great time of the year with free agency now in the review, at least the big, huge bulk of it for our purposes here on the channel and otherwise, and what have you. It's behind us, so rosters have taken shape across the league, landscapes have changed, and we're going to do an updated list of trade candidates. So today I have a list of 28 candidates in no particular order. Please keep in mind no particular order that, to at least some extent, I truly believe have at least a somewhat realistic chance of being traded. Some names are bigger than others, so let's just get right into it. First up, this is a very sore subject for me. I don't even want to say sensitive because I'm all on board with shipping this guy out. It's more of a sore subject. As a diehard Buffalo Bills fan, you can see behind me every video. Wide receiver Keon Coleman. This one stung with the draft. Passing over guys like Ladd McConkey, and more specifically, I wanted Cooper DeJean. That one hurt. And clearly, trading for DJ Moore, rumors of signing another veteran wide receiver like a Deebo Samuel. At least I want guys like Deebo Samuel and Noah Brown, drafting another high-end guy like a true speed element like Chris Braswell, Casey Concepcion, someone like that around that range. I'm not a fan of Keon. I'm going to throw a few landing spots that maybe have been talked about, rumored, leaked, whatever you want to talk, or just some of my own. Baltimore Ravens. Maybe this is just Rashad Bateman, but worse. But we know that the Ravens don't really value wide receiver that highly outside of the extension they're about to give to Zay Flowers. They always like to have these ancillary pieces. So I personally believe they need to upgrade from the Rashad Batemans of the world. But knowing how Eric DeCosta and maybe it'll change Jesse Minter, but now Jesse Minter operate with wide receivers. They always like to have ancillary pieces on the roster. Dallas Cowboys, spoiler alert, George Pickens will be in this video, and we'll talk about landing spots when we get to him, but if they move on from George Pickens, you could see them ushering George Pickens' world's universe is miles better than Keon Coleman. But in terms of size and stature, they're about the same body type and archetype, if you will, if you would. So Dallas Cowboys next, Philadelphia Eagles. AJ Brown out the door. We'll talk about him in a minute as well. 3 minutes rather well, specifically, but Philadelphia Eagles for Keon Coleman. Next, I would not do this for the Miami Dolphins, but their actions, you have to think trading away Jalen Waddle. Now, I didn't include other guys. I didn't want to go full overboard with one specific team, but you could see guys like Jordan Brooks has been rumored to be traded, at least available. Aaron Brewer, some guys, veterans like that they maybe don't want to extend. The one big name going around now is running back Devon Achane. Again, this really leave them with Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon, but if they get it a second for a running back, you have to think they take that, right? Especially their actions. Malik Willis trading away Jalen Waddle, etc. Houston Texans. I know they just traded for David Montgomery, but we saw David Montgomery had most success in the recent past as sort of a 1B/high-end 2 type player. He's the between the tackles, goal line pass pro hammer, and Devon Achane can be the Jahmyr Gibbs type player. They're both extremely explosive as hell. Devon Achane's just a little smaller. That could work out. Minnesota Vikings. I think the Vikings should just reload in the draft with someone like Jadarian Price and Mike Washington Jr. from Arkansas. Big fan, more specifically. But you can't rule this out. They've been on the hunt for running back forever. I know they restructured Aaron Jones' contract, but in the grand scheme of things, who cares? Seattle Seahawks. I like Emmanuel Wilson. I think he could be a pretty decent high-end number 2, but he filled an amber, I believe, for Josh Jacobs and certain goal line carries last year for the Packers in particular. I think they should have kept him and tendered him as restricted free agent, but they did not. And the Seahawks, maybe they want to go the veteran free agency route with Brian Robinson Jr. or Najee Harris coming off a torn Achilles. But if they want to make a big swing and just get a player who has the explosion of Kenneth Walker, but is a damn good, more dynamic receiving back, maybe they can go with that. I will admit, Seattle Seahawks makes sense. I would not do this. Tons of sense. I would not do this if I were the Miami Dolphins, but you got to think with their actions. We talked about with the Ravens being potentially in on Keon Coleman, that would require Rashad Bateman being shipped out because Keon Coleman and Rashad Bateman are two like big-bodied receivers. I think Rashad Bateman's a little better, but honestly, I don't really like either. So let's just say they do get Keon Coleman and they turn around and ship out Rashad Bateman. I look at the Miami Dolphins. You look at their actions; they clearly are punting on this year, and they don't want to build a hang-on receiver rotation. I think they do draft like a Denzel Boston or Casey Concepcion with number 11 overall, or hell, maybe double tap it with 11 and 30th overall. I mean, the wide receiver depth chart now is Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell, and Malik Washington. The only one I think there has some upside, some, not a lot, is Malik Washington, but even then, he's like a wide receiver 3/4, slot only, backup slot only type, gather the guy here and there, kick returner, etc. You get the point. Rashad Bateman would be kind of compounding lackluster options, but I don't think the Dolphins want to quote unquote swing big, if you will. Next, New York Jets. I don't know if they want to swing big either. I would just draft a rookie, but maybe you want to hedge your bets if you don't get what you want in the draft and trade for Rashad Bateman. Kansas City Chiefs, let's put it bluntly, Rasheed Rice is a knucklehead off the field, legally and situationally like that. Xavier Worthy has been highly, highly disappointing. I know Chiefs fans are going to put your pitchforks down. He just has. It's a fact of the matter. And I think Rashad Bateman is the very type of move they make. I don't think they value a receiver that highly historically ever since they got rid of Tyreek Hill. So, yeah. Next, linebacker Patrick Queen. I thought he would be cut by now. He's still a damn good player. I think people are forgetting just how good Patrick Queen is. That Steelers defense over the last 2 years, very good, a lot of depth, a lot of star power, but they're all old and they've really started to show their age. And you would have think they cut guys like Patrick Queen and Jalen Ramsey, but they're keeping both, at least for now. But I think Patrick Queen could very well be on the move. Tennessee Titans, they were in on guys like Tremaine Edmonds, for example, before he went to the Giants a couple weeks ago. Cedric Gray, I like. And then Cody Barton is just the definition of veteran depth, spot starter here and there. Fast upgrade for that. Denver Broncos, that cut Dre Greenlaw, rightfully so. They re-signed Alex Singleton, but Justin Sternad is more of a third type linebacker and high special teams ace. So I would like to get a plug-and-play starter in there next to Alex Singleton. It's just a model of consistency at linebacker position. And then Dallas Cowboys. This is the most obvious shit thing in the world, guys. Kenneth Murray's a free agent. They lost Jack still. No shit, he's terrible. They lost Jack Sanborn to the Bears. DeMarvion Overshown needs a running mate. I think if they trade for Patrick Queen and draft a guy like a CJ Allen, like an Anthony Hill at 12 or 20 overall, I think that would be perfect. Get DeMarvion Overshown and Patrick Queen, then draft a rookie. Moving on to first quarterback of the day, Davis Mills. I'll admit, it seems like the Texans really want to keep Mills. He's arguably the best backup in the league. They went 3-0 last year as a starter when CJ Stroud was out with a concussion. The New York Jets, they trade for Geno Smith, so maybe they just wait on Ty Simpson in the second round next month instead of trading again for another QB. So I'm kind of lukewarm on that idea, but the Arizona Cardinals make a ton of sense. If they don't want to go Ty Simpson in the second round, if they go Ty Simpson third overall, which is picking up quote unquote steam, if you will, I will bash the shit out of them. I'll just laugh like the Joker meme. That will be hilarious as shit to me. But yeah, those are a couple options. QB Anthony Richardson, this is known. You requested the trade. Colts gave him permission. No big deal. Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is assumedly coming back. Although I do agree with Charles Woodson, what he said last week. Like, he's sick and tired of the Steelers having to wait around for Aaron Rodgers. I agree. Make your decision. Don't make your decision. Like, what the F, man? What the actual shit here? Tell them you're returning. Tell them you're not returning. If you want to go in your darkest retreat, if you want to come back, fine. Just tell them. The offseason program literally starts month and a half from now, give or take, at this time of recording. So get moving. Green Bay Packers, we know that they value the backup position very highly. Maybe they can have another reclamation project and get Anthony Richardson a little bag, just like they did with Malik Willis a couple weeks ago with the Dolphins. Then Los Angeles Rams, to think what Sean McVay could do with a physical young profile like this is very mouth-watering and tantalizing to me, at the very least. Wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr., I know James Gladstone says, we're not trading him. That's blasphemy. Well, your wide receiver room says otherwise. You have Travis Hunter still, who the hell knows how he's gonna play offense, defense, etc. You have Parker Washington, main slot receiver. You have Jacoby Myers, the flanker, versatile type who can play both. You don't, and you have Brenton Strange. You don't need Brian Thomas Jr. to be a wide receiver 3 or 4. He's a bona fide wide receiver 1. So I look at the New England Patriots. They signed Romeo Doubs, which as a Bills fan, I hate how much I love that. It sickens to me in my core. They got Sledge. They got Romeo Doubs. I want to throw up. But yeah, New York Jets. They need a big alpha running mate for Garrett Wilson. I just don't know if Aaron Glenn covets this highly and if they want to just go with the draft route or not. And then Las Vegas Raiders, this just makes too much sense. I still like Jack Besh as their quote-unquote power slot. But other than that, they have Trey Tucker, who's more of a wide receiver 2. They have Dante Thornton, who's more of a wide receiver 4, depth piece, if that. They needed alpha. Trade for Brian Thomas Jr., draft a second or third round guy, and now you're cooking. I thought they'd get Rashid Shaheed, but he went back to the Seahawks, which no shade, but yeah. Next, offensive tackle Walker Little. Now, I've made the conclusion that, so first, without bearing the lead or backtrack a little, New England Patriots, I'm of the mindset, excuse me, rather, that Will Campbell needs to change the guard. But the problem is, there's not really room for him at guard. Because they signed Elijah Vera Tucker, they have Michael Onwenu, they're going to move Jared Wilson to center, so offensive line of Will Campbell, left guard, left tackle, keeping him there. Elijah Vera Tucker at left guard, Jared Wilson at center, Michael Onwenu right guard, and Morgan Moses at right tackle, and then drafting a succession plan in round 1, assumably 31st overall. That's a damn good offensive line. But let's just say they do move Will Campbell to guard, and Jared Wilson moves to center, and Elijah Vera Tucker goes on the bench. The contract wouldn't suggest that. Pretty big-ass commitment, surprisingly enough, but yeah. That's contingent on him moving the left tackle. Pittsburgh Steelers, Broderick Jones has been okay. He played right tackle, mediocre. Left tackle, mediocre. I think he can be your primary swing tackle. Maybe they do want to move on from him, but I don't know. Like, later on pick swap, if that, outside. So, yeah. San Francisco 49ers, there's a lot of weird messaging around Trent Williams right now. This would be a great replacement / succession plan. Next, QB Will Levis. So, the new staff, Robert Saleh, Brian Daboll and company, they clearly have absolutely no plans, as they should, to Will Levis. Got Cam Ward, assumed with franchise QB. And then they signed Mitch Trubisky to probably more money than he deserves. And then they still got Will Levis. So he's built like an action figure, but he was just, other than a few games here and there in his career, he's looked pretty dreadful. So, a few things here. Landing spots, if you would. Pittsburgh Steelers, succession plan. Just like Anthony Richardson, I would want Richardson, but they're both very physical, toolsy guys. Indianapolis Colts, ship off Anthony Richardson, get Will Levis to come in there and then start for the first 4 or 5 weeks while Daniel Jones is on PUP, assumably. And then Los Angeles Rams, Liam Cohen can give Sean McVay from good intel. I know everyone's going to say Jacksonville Jaguars because Liam Cohen at Kentucky for the 1 year is literally the only guy that's ever got good, even baseline, good enough play, above average / good play from Will Levis in his entire 4 or 5 year college / NFL career. Like, what the hell? So I don't think the Jaguars, though, but there's a lot of McVay tree connections with Liam Cohen and McVay with the Rams. So just connecting the dots there. Bit deep cut, but yeah. Next, wide receiver Marvin Mims. I was going to put Troy Franklin on here, but Sean Payton likes wide receiver depth. They have Jalen Waddle. They have Cortland Sutton. They love Pat Bryant. He loves the speed of it. And Troy Franklin, for whatever reason, he's only used Marvin Mims as a gadget guy, an elite kick returner here and there. I think there's a lot more to be had there. Buffalo Bills, I want them to get a true gadgety guy that can take a top off of defense. Loved Mims out of Oklahoma a few years ago. Baltimore Ravens, again, this is the exact depth move they would take. And then Atlanta Falcons, they really haven't addressed wide receiver like they should outside of Drake London. They got a permanent slot receiver in Jahan Dotson. Okay, what does that do? Olamide Zaccheaus, veteran presence to tie it all together. Okay, what the hell with the shit is that? So we're gonna go with Marvin Mims here. Offensive Raiders right tackle Colton Miller. I look directly at the Indianapolis Colts, go from one high-end right tackle in Braden Smith to another high-end right tackle in Colton Miller. Dallas Cowboys, their right tackle right now is a mix of Terrence Steele and TJ Bass sliding over from guard to tackle. I think both, specifically Terrence Steele in this case, are high-end depth options / spot starters historically over their careers here and there. And then San Francisco 49ers. So let's just say they keep, even hell, don't keep Trent Williams. At right tackle, they have Colton McKivitz. Okay, what does that say? What does that do? Colton Miller staying in the West Coast, but it makes so much sense. At right tackle, defensive end Max Crosby, the whole saga with the Ravens. He was a Raven for a few days, then he wasn't. Then there's some BS. There's some weird shit going on there. Conspiracy theory, blah, blah. All that aside, you can't rule out the facts that Max Crosby could get traded. I look at the New England Patriots. What do they have at edge rusher right now? Harold Landry and what? They lost Caleb Unchason. Their defensive interior is still nasty with Barnwell, Milton Williams, and Corey Durden and drafting a guy. But they have Harold Landry as a true speed rusher. But they need an Ironman, high-end snap taker who literally doesn't come off the field. Max Crosby for the Patriots. And Mike Vrabel, Crosby embodies the ideals and definition of toughness. Philadelphia Eagles, Howie would love to take a big swing like this. You know he loves doing this. They have 2 and 3 pass rusher, second and third options, pass rushers in Nolan Smith. We'll see if he gets that extension. That'll be tricky. Jalen Smith, but lost Jalen Phillips. So I say get Max Crosby and then maybe draft a young guy in the pipeline there because Howie Roseman loves to double position of strength. And then the Chicago Bears, I thought this would happen before he went to the Ravens or not. I think moving Austin Booker to a third or fourth rotational pass rusher off the bench would benefit everybody over there. A starting duo of Montez Sweat and, which I think people forget how good he is still. Montez Sweat and Max Crosby is cool as shit. So, yeah. Wide receiver Quentin Johnston, to me, there's no value. Like, I think people are overrating his year last year, but Dallas Cowboys, he went to TCU. Let's have him go back to the DFW area, Dallas-Fort Worth area. So, yeah. Philadelphia Eagles, you know how he loves to do depth options like this. Again, they like tall-ass receivers like George Pickens historically. Talent aside, I'm not comparing to. And then San Francisco 49ers, what Kyle Shanahan could do with this guy in the blocking game and the run game and just deep ball game, I think would be extraordinary. That's probably my favorite fit of the three. Wide receiver George Pickens, I keep dancing around it. Here we go. Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, everyone keeps mocking Mekhi Lemon to them at number 9 overall. You already have that with Rasheed Rice and Xavier Worthy. Enough of these sub 190, sub 180, sub 6 foot guys that can't get open downfield and are just route runners at the end of the day. They need a true big-bodied X receiver who can go up and get it for a first down and contest the catch situations. And George Pickens is masterful at that. And then Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the attitude might be kind of weird to pair up with a rookie QB who, in all reports, intents and purposes, is a dork, positively, in the best way possible, and Fernando Mendoza. So, I would rather go against BTJ, but and then Los Angeles Chargers, again, they seem to be really high on Trey Harris. I was not a fan of Trey Harris, like, at all for the first, second round hype he was getting. I thought he should have been more of a late round 3/early round 4 pick last year, but he went in the second round, mid-second round. It is what it is. Defenseman Kayvon Thibodeau. I thought this would have happened already because they have Abdul Carter, they have Brian Burns, they have Chauncey Golston. So, better late than never. Miami Dolphins, they really have nothing at edge. I thought Kingsley Enagbare would have followed Jeff Hafley there, but apparently not. 2 years ago, Chop Robinson had a spectacular rookie year, and then he was objectively horrible last year and took a huge, drastic, horrible step down. It's a horribly talent level last year. And what the hell do they have? They have nothing at edge, just like the defense as a whole. So, yeah. And then Baltimore Ravens, this is the exact type of edge move they would make. I know they signed Trey Hendrickson, but it seems like they're valuing edge rushers more and more lately. And then Kansas City Chiefs, they have George Karlaftis, and then what? Felix Anudike-Uzomah's been hurt all last year and is a first-round bust by all accounts. Pretty clear, so obvious, yeah. And then corner Deontay Banks. I don't think people are talking about this enough. if you need a good enough outside corner, more specifically slot corner, who has some upside, young reclamation project, if you would, former first-round pick, go with him. Trading for Deontay Banks, Miami Dolphins. Their corner group right now consists of, big drum roll please, get ready for it, Darrell Baker, Jason Marshall, Storm Duck. I thought for sure they would have brought in back Rasul Douglas, but now they lost Kader Crow, which who cares? But they just need a body. They just need talent. Those guys aren't doing nothing. Oh, and Juju Brent still. Even worse. So yeah. Cleveland Browns, they're starting slot corner. So I love the outside corner duo of Denzel Ward and oh shit, I can't think. I'm sorry, I am brain fart here. Denzel Ward and whoever the hell else. But let me know in the comments, brain fart moment here. But they're starting slot corner right now. I would have thought they brought back Martin Emerson, MJ Emerson. Apparently not. It's Miles Harden. He was objectively dreadful last year. So let's get a huge upgrade in. Well, not huge, but upgrade in Deontay Banks. And then I'm tapping the Seattle Seahawks here. Now, this is the one spot that Deontay Banks would play outside corner. Reek Wallen did leave. But let's start with Kobe Bryant leaving at safety. That frees up your starting safeties to be Nick Emanwari and Julian Love in the back end. And then your starting slot corner elite is Devon Witherspoon. And then your CB1 is Josh Jobe now, who you re-signed for a bargain-ass deal. And then your CB2 is slated on the outside to be Noah Igbenogany. The name of the game is versatility with Mike McDonald. Nicky Minora, Julian Love, Devon Witherspoon, all wildly versatile. So is Deontay Banks. They would be their primary CB2 in the outside in this hypothetical scenario. Next, wide receiver AJ Brown. I'm about to throw up at this point about AJ Brown in the sense that, can we just get it over with? June, July. Come on, please, just move on. The front runner is the New England Patriots. Obvious Mike Vrabel connection. Obviously, to sign Romeo Dobbs, but he's not a true NFL alpha wide receiver one. Fantasy bias aside. But you got to think the Patriots can't just be negotiating against themselves. Like, there's a couple other realistic options that make sense to me, at least. Baltimore Ravens, maybe they do value it more than we're thinking. Maybe you send Rashad Bateman back to the Eagles, like a high second round pick plus Rashad Bateman, who the hell knows. And Los Angeles Chargers, they seem to really like Trey Harris, but maybe you send Quentin Johnston back and you have a receiving trio of Ladd McConkey, AJ Brown, and Trey Harris. I think that would be superb. Next, QB Tyson Bagent. This is kind of cooled off around the combine. It was really looking like this was going to happen. I think the New York Jets should really, really do this. Consider it. I don't think they should draft Ty Simpson in the second round. Now, you can do this. If neither Geno Smith or Tyson Bagent work out, one, Aaron Glenn's ass will be canned, but two, you'll be in striking distance for Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Julian Sand, some shit like that, guys like that. So, yeah. And then the Arizona Cardinals, I think the Jets make way more sense, but might as well throw them out there while we're here, right? And then wide receiver Jordan Addison, he's not as bad as Rasheed Rice off the field, but he's still somewhat of a head case legally and emotionally off the field. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole, but New York Jets, Aaron Glenn, just needs talent. He seems to not care about off the field issues. Kansas City Chiefs, why not just have another off the field issue like Rasheed Rice? But in all seriousness, this is a skill set they desperately need. Philadelphia Eagles, again, this is a contingent. I'm moving on from AJ Brown. Defensive end Jonathan Grenard. I don't think the Eagles are holding Vikings, are holding out for a second round pick. I don't think they're going to get that. But the Baltimore Ravens, why not make a strength even more of a strength in a pass rush group of Trey Hendrickson, Jonathan Grenard, and Mike Green would be effing awesome. AFC bias, Bills bias aside. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've been searching so long. I like Yaya Diaby, but he's a second and third type pass rusher. But I think trading for Jonathan Grenard and then drafting some guy at 15th overall, like a TJ Parker or a Cassius Howell, more specifically, would make a ton of sense. That'd be awesome as shit in my opinion. And then Seattle Seahawks, they thrive on depth. They have DeMarcus Lawrence, they have Derek Hall, they have China Wusu. They're not going to cut in time. They would have already done it if they were going to. They lost Boye Mafe, so they need someone who is a bit better than Boye Mafe, arguably. Actually, not arguably. I know he is, and Jonathan Grenard. That would just be awesome to tie that all together. No wide receiver Xavier Leggett. He should have never been anywhere near a first round pick to begin with. Hell, I even thought it was my eval a couple years ago. Early to mid third round pick, if that, early to mid third round pick firmly, and he goes in the late first round of the Panthers. What are we doing? Kansas City Chiefs. So he needs to go to an offense that has a fun head coach / OC play caller, rather, who can use them in creative ways, backfield, slot out wide, blah, blah, blah. Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay, and Devontae Adams also getting up there in age. Why not take a stats shot here? And then San Francisco 49ers, everyone, rightfully so, including myself, was comping in play style, not talent level, but play style, body type to Deebo Samuel, can take jet sweeps and rush from the backfield and all that fun jazz and stuff. Rather, why not get Xavier Leggett with a similar skill set? QB Spencer Rattler. I think the Saints really value the backup QB position for Spencer Rattler here, but Pittsburgh Steelers, if I had to pick for the Steelers between guys like I've already thrown out, like some young reclamation project, bounce back guys like Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, and in this case, Spencer Rattler, I'd choose Anthony Richardson by far over those other two yo-yos, but yeah. Indianapolis Colts, they need someone to get by for the first 4 or 5 games while Jones is on pup, similar Will Levis convo. Arizona Cardinals, this might be a hot take. I don't think Spencer Rattler, at least when I'm thinking the moment, is too far off for when he's shown. He's started a surprising amount of games. He looked pretty damn decent okay last year before Shuck took over, obviously. Maybe they don't want to go Ty Simpson. Why not just trade for Rattler for the Cardinals? Next, RB Alvin Kamara. I know we said before, not threatened because that seems harsh. I know we said before that I will be drinking tequila somewhere. I'll be drinking cocktails on the beach and retire if I get traded or cut from the New Orleans Saints. Well, at some point, everyone's got to move on. I look at the Jacksonville Jaguars as a sneaky spot. They have Chris Rodriguez, who's like an early down plotter / early down grinder type back and goal line pass pro, short yard situation. So I like quite a bit, surprisingly enough. Denver, and then they have Bashaw Tutin for a change of pace, 8 to 12 touches a game, right around that range for electric receiving back. And then they have LaQuint Allen, who's a ass kicker, pass pro game. Denver Broncos, I find it kind of ironic and funny, to me at least personally, that they were linked to every big ass name running back in free agency. Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, David Montgomery in the trade market, cut market among others, And then they bring back literally the exact same group. J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, Jaleel McLaughlin from last year. So get Alvin Kamara, that big name guy you were chasing this whole time. And then Chicago Bears. Now, I've cooled off in this a little since I made this the other day, yesterday, whatever. Time is recording. They had DeAndre Swift. I think if they were going to cut in, they would have done it now. It could still happen. Never say never, but yeah. They have Coleman on guy. I think my favorite spot here, though, is the Denver Broncos, just because of the names they've been connected to. And then running back Trey Benson. Now, this isn't a nothing burger. What he's showing the NFL is a nothing burger, but this is a former second-round pick out of Florida State. It was arguably the RB1 that draft class, for me at least, it was, over guys like Jonathan Brooks and stuff like that 2 years ago. Former second-round pick. So this guy has pedigree still. They have Tyler Algier. They re-signed Van Knight, who, for whatever stupid reason, they seem really high on still. They have James Conner on a restructured / reworked pay cut contract situation. A lot going on there, so no more room for Trey Benson with the Michael LaFleur and new staff. So maybe they go with the Miami Dolphins. Maybe the Dolphins want to overhaul, literally and figuratively, their running back room. Maybe they ship out Devon Achane. Maybe they ship out Jalen Wright, one or both. And maybe you want to do a 1-2 punch and go light there, if you would, with Trey Benson and Ali Gordon. That could be kind of intriguing. Baltimore Ravens, their backup, Derrick Henry now is Justice Hill. He's good for like 2 to 3 catches per game, if that. I don't really like Justice Hill. Keaton Mitchell was a much better version of him, and that's where he went. Baltimore Ravens. Las Vegas Raiders for Trey Benson. This could make some sense. It would annoy fantasy managers for Ashton Gianti. Maybe not. But Clint Kubiak in the past has stressed the importance of not a true split backfield, but a reliable backup option to Ashton Gianti at the RB2 spot. This makes a ton of sense. Wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., same as Brian Thomas Jr., New England Patriots, New York Jets, Las Vegas Raiders. If I was choosing between the two, I'd still bank on the fact of Marvin Harrison Jr., but just by a twinge, because he's shown flashes, but never been able to connect with Kyler Murray and Jacoby Brissett and others over there. Next, QB Mac Jones, getting towards the last couple guys here in particular. Mac Jones. Now, just a month or two ago, I would have said this is absolutely happening. But since I know the 49ers and Shanahan, for all intents and purposes, come out and said, no, we're not trading Mac Jones. We value him too highly. But if they get a second-round pick thrown in their face, they can't resist that, right? Like, that could change. New York Jets. They would be very wise to get this. Maybe Geno Smith is just a bridge option. Maybe they want competition for Geno Smith. Maybe they want the reclamation project for the QB of the future. There's a lot of different avenues that Mac Jones could fill and needs that could fill for the Jets. Indianapolis Colts, same thing we've discussed of filling in for Daniel Jones. Arizona Cardinals, I think they should just trade for someone like Mac Jones, like a Spencer Rattler, but in this case, Mac Jones in particular, or a Ty Simpson or some other yo-yo day 3 guy. And then offensive tackle Trent Williams. The messaging here has been really weird. So quick recap, flashback, if I may, with you guys. The 49ers, Shanahan, John Lynch, the front office, they declined Trent Williams' $10 million option guarantee in the hopes, though, that they would be able to come to an agreement. It hasn't happened yet, and there's been some weird, awkward messaging going on. So the New England Patriots, this is like Walker Little, but obviously better situation, assuming they move Will Campbell to guard and shift some pieces around and move AVT to the bench or something like that. Dallas Cowboys, maybe they want a big upgrade over Tyler Guyton. I still believe in him, but I don't know if Jerry Jones, shoddy, still do. So, yeah. And then Detroit Lions, they need to fill in for Taylor Decker really badly. They have a lot of good competition on the O-line. Like the interior, there's 3 or 4 guys that could realistically mix and match and start between Tate Ratledge, Christian Mahogany, Miles Frazier, and maybe a draft pick. In left tackle, maybe they do draft a guy like trading up for Fano or Maui Goa. That'd be bold. But maybe sitting and waiting for Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. But there's been some rumors. I don't want to call it credible rumors. Rumblings, if you would so please that. If you so would, that Penei Sewell could move over from right tackle to left tackle. He's the best right tackle in the league. All-pro right tackle, hands down. Why would you mess with that shit? So I say trade for Trent Williams. And your offensive line is set for at least the next year or two until Trent retires, and then maybe still draft a guy in the pipeline. They signed Larry Borum at left tackle. I think he's more of a high-end swing tackle. He played admirably, actually, for the Dolphins last year, but yeah, that's where my head's at with that. Anyways, guys, there is 28 trade candidates in no specific order that could be realistically traded. Rumors, leaks, top of my mind right now, whatever, what have you. That's where we're at. Anyways, guys, quick housekeeping note here. Literally tonight, at the time of this recording, I am leaving for vacation for the next week and a half to 2 weeks. So there will be no Round the Slice podcast episodes or videos here on the channel, unfortunately. But I stress the importance of following me on Twitter at @Weingartner13 to keep up to date with any NFL thoughts, opinions, and discussions over there. Please keep that in mind with that programming / housekeeping note and Twitter and all that fun stuff and jazz. Thank you for the support as always. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments below. Who do you think will get traded out of this list? Who do you think won't get traded out of this list? Are there any candidates I missed? Again, I'm human. I could have missed some here and there. And yeah, please like and subscribe. Please turn notifications on so you never miss an podcast episode and or video here on the Around the Slice YouTube channel. I'll see you back from vacation, which will be at minimum a couple days after Easter. So please just keep that in mind. Thank you for the support. As always, please share this video and channel with anyone and everyone you know. I'll see you guys on the next one when I get back. Goodbye.